In this video, we're going to talk about special education and 504 tracking procedures. As you know, we're responsible legally to collect data and track data of the accommodations that we're supposed to implement for our special education and 504 students. And so I wanted to provide this video to show you one way that you can keep track of stuff in a consistent fashion that I think is going to be pretty easy and seamless to do, much easier than last year. So first of all, at the beginning of the year, your special education caseload teachers are going to be, as well as your counselors, are going to be sending you documents that provide information about special education and 504 students that includes basically what you need to be aware of when working with these students. And so the first thing that you're going to get, I'm going to show you an example right now on the screen, is actually an example of an IEP. And they're going to give you a PDF form of this IEP that you can print out or just keep on your computer, and you're responsible for reviewing this. And really one of the most important things that you want to review are the accommodations that you need to implement. And let's actually scroll down here. You'll see various things in here like the student strengths and so forth. But what you really want to focus on is down here in the middle of the document, special factors, supplementary aids, and assessments. And what you'll find in here are the accommodations that the student needs. So the accommodations here, how often it has to happen, and where it needs to happen. So you'll get this document and you'll be responsible for reviewing those accommodations. And once you've done so, then you can begin to set up a document that tracks these accommodations and your implementation of them. And so we're going to share with you a sheet that looks like this. It's a Google form. And it's just, the purpose of it is for you to be able to track stuff. And what it has is at the bottom are tabs where you can enter your students by hour. So you can enter all your 504s and special ed students in the first hour tab. Then you can go to your second hour tab and do the same type of thing all the way through sixth hour. But before you start entering stuff into this page, the very first thing that you need to do is make a copy of this, because this is our template and we don't want to enter data on the template. So in order to make a copy, you're going to go to File, you're going to go to Make a Copy, and when that happens, you'll see that this is highlighted. You're going to want to name your file an easy name that you're going to be able to locate. So we're going to call this Longs SE and 504 Tracking. And one of the things that you're going to want to do when you do that, you click OK, you might want to go ahead and organize that in a folder. So one way that you can do that is if you go to File, once you've made this document and made the copy, you go to File, you go to Organize, you're going to go into My Drive, you're going to go to Move This Item before you go to My Drive, and you're going to go into My Drive on that little arrow, and you can create a folder here. We're going to call this Long Special Ed. Hit Enter, and then you can click Move here. So now this file is organized in your Google Drive in a place that you can find it quickly. The next step that we're going to talk about is how to use this sheet. So if you have a student in your first hour, let's say his name is Michael Jordan, you'll type his student's name in here, and then the next column is for the caseload teacher. And you'll see here this little arrow, there's a drop-down menu where you can choose between our various caseload teachers. If it's Mr. Ford, you'll click on him. If it's a 504 for Mortimer, you'll click on her. Social work, Kulikowski. Let's just say that Michael Jordan's in Ford's class. You'll click on that, and it populates that cell. Now in the next column are universal accommodations. So what we did here is put accommodations that are pretty expansive, that cover most of the accommodations that you're going to see in an IEP or a 504. And when you click on the arrow, it gives you a drop-down menu of tons of different accommodations. So let's say one of the students' accommodations is to have an adult check in 2 to 3 times per class period. You click that, and it populates that cell. Let's say the student needs small group testing. You go down here to take assessments in small group, and it populates that cell. And we have up to 8 rows here that you can provide. It's pretty much standard for most students. However, if you need to add rows, I'll show you how to do that in a second. Let's say there's a unique accommodation that you just do not see in our drop-down menu. That's where you're going to use this next column over here. So you can type in the unique accommodation, whatever it is, Michael needs to fill out his planner on his own and get it signed by counselor. You might not see that accommodation in the drop-down menu in the previous column. You click enter, and that's populated. The columns to the right of that are Monday through Friday. Again, you're responsible for tracking data. You can do this once a week, once a day, however you want to do it. And the ways in which you do that are going to vary. You want to make sure it's a system that works for you. Remember, this tracking sheet that we're giving you is only a guide. You do not have to use this sheet. You can use something that works better for you, but you are responsible for tracking these accommodations. If, for example, one of the accommodations is to take assessments in small group, on Monday, if you didn't take any tests, it's not going to apply. But if the student did take a test on Friday, you can just type in or print this document out and write in tested, small group, and you're all set. Let's say one of your accommodations is sitting close to the source of instruction. Well, in this row right here, you can just put seating chart. And you're good for the week, probably good for a couple of weeks until you change your seats. So that gives you some examples of how to fill this stuff out. One thing that you can consider is if you run out of rows here, if the student has more than 8 universal accommodations, a really easy way to fix this is by adding a row. And you'll just click on the last row over here, then you'll right click it and you can insert a row below. And once you've inserted that row, now again you have the option to add an accommodation. You'll notice that these rows are separated here. It's a really easy way to merge that. All you have to do is highlight these 2 cells. And then you're going to go up to here where it says merge cells and you're going to merge all. And you'll do the same thing here if you want to make it look neat. And you're all set. And then you have this black line that divides student by student. Now, if you like to use hard copies throughout your class periods and be able to track these things as you're going and as you're teaching, it's a really easy way to do it. Let's say you have, this many areas populated here. You have students here, 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 and here. You select all this stuff. Then you go to print. You click landscape and click selection because you want to print what you selected. And when you click print, it'll show you what it's going to print out. And now you have a nice little spreadsheet that you can refer to every day in class. So that's one way of doing it. Let's say you like to do your accommodations digitally. This is the first week. If you need to make a copy of your first hour class, all you do is go down to the first hour tab, you right click it, and you duplicate it. And now you have a duplicate copy of your first hour spreadsheet where you can add additional accommodations for the next week. So that pretty much covers everything you need to know about tracking your accommodations. Remember, guys, we're responsible for tracking these. You can do this how you like. This is just one way to do it. Hopefully this video was helpful, and if you have any questions, please let us know.